How's it going, guys? Tom here, and we're back for episode number 11 of Showdown Slam now. So what that means is we have a brand new team to work with. The channel and this series has been going for about 2 weeks now, and now it's time to change things up and try something new. So we had some relatively good success with a Dialga and Kyogre core, which got me started on a ladder and got me back into the feel of playing VGC again after a break of about 4 months. And now we're going to try something which I think is completely different. So this is Jamie Boyt's Worlds team. If you haven't seen his team report on YouTube, then I'll put a link to it in the description. Do give it a watch, as it basically tells you everything you need to know about the team, the spreads, the moves, the items, everything. And what I've actually done is I've taken his team and used the updated spreads that he recommended, I think either as a post-Worlds or something he would have done differently had he got the chance. So we are going to be starting with a completely fresh team from my perspective. I don't know too much about it, and to be honest I can't remember too much from his video about what he tend to lead and things like that. So we'll be learning this as we go along, all of us together here. So we'll get straight into the first battle and we see what we get. There we go, it's loaded now, so just being a bit slow. So it's quite interesting because I remember him saying that this team isn't so great against Kyogres, particularly if there's a Mawile or a Mega Gengar and maybe a Bronzong, I'm not too sure. So yeah, we do see Mawile here, so this isn't the best of starts. We might struggle against this team. And the main purpose of this team is to support the Xerneas and potentially the Rayquaza as well, particularly with the Intimidate users that you get from Arcanine, Gyarados and Scrafty. So how do I want to lead here, knowing that he has potentially Intimidate of his own? I don't think Gyarados can do too much here. Thunder Wave would be nice. I don't think Arcanine... Well, Arcanine could do very well here actually if we can clear out the weather. So I think Arcanine could be useful in the back, and Whimsicott for, I guess, for Moonblast. Sorry, not Moonblast, for Tailwind is what I want to say. So let's try... how do we want to do this? Maybe we want a Whimsicott and Arcanine lead here. That could work okay. Or we could just have Gyarados and Arcanine. I'm feeling Gyarados and Arcanine actually. We can get some Icy Wind drops, we can get Thunder Waves off. Arcanine is quite good for Intimidate. So Arcanine comes out, Gyarados comes out. So yeah, this isn't the best of starts for us because Kyogre is pretty free to essentially do what it likes here. So we could Extreme Speed. Oh wait, oh sorry, I thought I had Kyogre on my team, I was quite used to it then. We could Extreme Speed the Kyogre and just do some chip before it wants to Water Spout, which I feel it might feel quite free in doing. But I feel like we can switch in the Rayquaza here and go for a Thunder Wave onto the Kyogre. I have a feeling this Weavile is going to be sashed, so there's no point going for a switch into Rayquaza in the Gyarados slot and going for a Flare Blitz, so yeah. So yeah, that Origin Pulse did absolutely nothing, which is fantastic. What we can do here is Mega Evolve, and we can Dragon Ascent the Kyogre, and I think we can, in fact, do we want to go all out straight away? I think we do here. Yes, let's Mega Evolve, Dragon Ascent the Kyogre, and we will, what can we do here? We'll go for an Icy Wind here. In fact, I feel like the Kyogre might protect it, so let's Mega Evolve, let's get rid of the Mawile with a Dragon Ascent and an Icy Wind. See where that gets us. So yeah, I am predicting a Kyogre Protect, as it doesn't protect actually, so great, good predicts by me. And the Icicle Crash flinches Rayquaza as well, so yeah, perfect start there. And Thunder actually misses, so that's really good. So now we should be faster than the Weavile. We can Dragon Ascent it, and let's go for a... Do we actually want to Dragon Ascent it? I feel like we can Dragon Ascent the Kyogre and Waterfall the Weavile. I think we should be... I don't think we will be faster yet than Weavile. But let's try and get the big damage onto the Weavile, the Kyogre, sorry. And I feel like once we get this Kyogre out of the way, then Arcanine just has a field day really. And let's go for a Waterfall onto the Weavile. That Icy Wind did actually do quite a lot, so hopefully we can get a KO this turn. So Dragon Ascent doesn't quite pick up the KO. We don't really expect it to be honest, because this Rayquaza isn't built for attacking really. So we do kind of lose, well, okay, so we lose 2 Pokemon there. So that's great. So we are left with Arcanine and Xerneas. So yeah, perhaps I wasn't thinking about my positioning too much there, just letting my Rayquaza go down quite easily. I guess switching in a Rayquaza onto a Kyogre and a Weavile isn't the best of ideas, and seeing my opponent have Rayquaza and Mawile is also not really ideal. So I think what we can do here is go for a Flare Blitz onto the Mawile and Dazzling Gleam. I don't know if Dazzling Gleam will pick up the KO onto Kyogre. We're not amazingly special attack invested. So let's go for, but I feel like if we get the, now let's protect the, we could go for a Helping Hand in Dazzling Gleam. That could work out. Because Flare Blitz, I'm not expecting to KO the Weavile, especially now we've been intimidated. But I feel like it will do a good chunk. And then it's a question of, can Dazzling Gleam pick up the KO onto Weavile and Kyogre? I almost want to prioritise knocking out the Kyogre, so I will do that. And I will... yeah, because if we don't knock out this Weavile, then we potentially put ourselves in range of a dragon or of an extreme speed or priority move from either opponent really. So let's try and go for the Flare Blitz and chip the Weavile. The only problem is then Arcanine's most likely going down here. So we'll go. Let's go for an extreme speed onto the Kyogre and I feel like we have to Geomancy here. I feel like we have to make some kind of play. We could protect here and then stop any damage going off into us this turn. Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam would pick up the KO. But then the Weavile just attacks us anyway. Yeah, so let's extreme speed the Kyogre. In fact, no, let's go for the Flare Blitz and the Dazzling Gleam. We can at least see how much the Dazzling Gleam does onto the Kyogre, because I do need to learn this team and see how it works. So yeah, Dazzling Gleam doesn't pick up the KO there, but the Flare Blitz does on the Weavile. So that's alright, I guess. Origin Pulse hits the Arcanine, doesn't quite knock out the Xerneas. And now it comes down to a question of what item does the Rayquaza have? Probably Life Orb, as opposed to Sash. So let's go for a Dazzling Gleam here. Maybe we get the KO. Kyogre protects, fair enough. Dragon Ascent, yeah, right. Okay, so it crits us anyway. So yeah, we weren't surviving that. Good game to my opponent there. So yeah, we start off with a loss with this team, which, to be honest, I'm kind of expecting as I learn my way through it. Hopefully we'll do better in other turns. I think the critical move on my part there was switching in a Rayquaza when you're against a Weavile and a Kyogre. Not really the best of matchups there. So here we have a dual primal team with Mega Salamence, Mega Kangaskhan, a Cresselia and a Liepard. So we could see potential for Tailwind here and for Trick Room. I almost feel like Trick Room might come out here. The Cresselia could be quite big in setting up gravities and things like that. So how do I want to combat against that? Again, I don't think Arcanine is that necessary here when we have plenty of other Intimidate users. I feel like Gyarados could be quite good here, and potentially the Whimsicott as well. I feel like Whimsicott generally does quite well against teams like this. Scrafty could be good for Fake Out as well. We're not really seeing any priority here, although we do have Quick Guard, so we could have Scrafty lead with Whimsicott. or Scrafty and Gyarados. I feel like Gyarados is needed for the Groudon matchup. And Rayquaza and Xerneas. I don't know if Rayquaza is supposed to be a lead as well, that's my other thing. Like, if I knew Rayquaza was a lead or not, potentially I'd want to start with that. Let's have Xerneas and Rayquaza in the back and see how this goes. So it's Liepard and it is Groudon, so that's fine. I almost want to switch in the Scrafty, but I want to fake out the Groudon here instead and go for an Icy Wind and try and slow it down, and then we can go for okay, so yeah, Liepard fakes out there, that's fine. So we trade fake outs. What I was thinking, well, I was fake out Scrafty and, you know, use Gyarados to Icy Wind. What we can do here is send in the Rayquaza and we can Waterfall the Groudon. Liepard might be tempted to go for a Encore onto the Scrafty, so hopefully we see past this. As it does, yep, so that's great. And actually the Gyarados is faster than the Groudon, so that's really good as well. The Icy Wind wasn't necessary. Gyarados literally was there to take the... okay, yeah, so Gyarados was literally there to take the fake out, and that was it. So here we can go for... I think we could switch into Scrafty here, and then we can at least get Intimidate onto this Kangaskhan. And I think what I want to do here is Extreme Speed the Liepard, and with and we can send out Scrafty for the Gyarados here. Or we could switch out the Rayquaza and switch in the Scrafty, and we can continue Waterfalling. Or we could Icy Wind. Let's go for a Waterfall onto... Actually no, let's go for an Icy Wind. And then Scrafty might be faster next turn. Actually it probably won't be, but we can at least try, you know. So we go for an Icy Wind. Let's see what they want to do here. So Kangaskhan again fakes out the Gyarados. Okay, that's fine. We'll Thunder Wave into the Scrafty, so that's fine as well. And the Lumberry cures the paralysis, so that's great. So what do we want to do here? Liepard, I can't remember if Liepard gets Quick Guard, so we might want to test that out. So we'll fake out the Kangaskhan, and we'll also use Icy Wind here, or we could Waterfall into it. Now let's use Icy Wind, and then we can Waterfall into it next turn. Or if there's any switches, we can slow them down. So yeah, fake out into the Kangaskhan, Thunder Wave into the Gyarados. So Icy Wind hits the Liepard, and it hits the Kangaskhan, so that's good. So now I want to see how much does a low kick do onto this Liepard. We could also low kick into the Kangaskhan here. And let's go for a Waterfall into the Kangaskhan, because this Liepard isn't really doing anything. All it can do really is Thunder... Actually no, let's... Okay, so it's Cresselia in the back. It Thunder Waves the Scrafty. So if my opponent wants to set up a Trick Room here, we will be, you know, relatively fast. So let's low kick the Liepard, and we will go for a Waterfall into the Liepard as well. And hopefully, between Scrafty and Gyarados, even though they are paralysed, this is obviously very risky. We can pick up some KOs here. I'm almost tempted to switch out one of them, just so we can preserve Intimidates for later on. But I feel once we get this Kangaskhan out of the way, that's really good. So yeah, the low kick doesn't really do a lot, but we can keep low kicking into that slot. And I think what we can also do is send out the Rayquaza here. We can preserve Intimidate for later, and I think Xerneas will be in a good position when it eventually comes back in to do stuff. So opponent, just thinking about this a bit more, I do feel like I'm a bit waffly today. Yeah, I feel quite good about the positioning of this team so far. I feel like Scrafty and Gyarados are really good at, you know, just disrupting the team here. So yeah, they switch out the Kangaskhan, which is fine. Obviously, it will take the. It should. I expect it will take the low kick. You know, all right. So yeah, Cresselia keeps rotating the. Okay, so we're paralysed as well, so that's really not ideal. So let's switch out the Gyarados for the Scrafty, and we can Mega Evolve Icy Wind this turn. So it's important to bear in mind that the Cresselia is actually skill swapped Intimidate back to us. So this Kangaskhan will be on half attack by the time it eventually does anything. And just to make sure we are faster than it, we can Icy Wind. We can also just Dragon Ascent, really. Yeah, let's go for a Dragon Ascent into the Kangaskhan just to see how much that does as well, because I haven't really tried that either. So Liepard comes out. Gyarados comes in, Kangaskhan is at half attack. Fakes out the Rayquaza, yeah, fair enough. That's fine. And what we can do here is switch in the Scrafty, and we can Waterfall the... In fact, let's Thunder Wave the Kangaskhan, let's just make it slow, and we'll send in the Scrafty here. This Kangaskhan really isn't going to do anything here. Wow, crit the double edge. Okay, so that's really ideal right there. The double edge was a crit. So let's send in the... I feel like if we send in the Xerneas and Dazzling Gleam here, or Protect, and we can Waterfall the Liepard and take it out, that means we don't have to worry about Encores into Geomancy. So let's try that. As in Encore's next turn for Geomancy. And essentially we're trying to make sure this Rayquaza doesn't get paralysed now by a Liepard Thunder Wave. And really that's the only thing I'm worried about now, this Liepard setting up on us. Well, not setting up on us, but, you know, making us you know, locked into a potential Geomancy. I guess we could have Geomancied this turn anyway, but then that leaves Liepard free to just Thunder Wave as well. So if Gyarados isn't fully paralysed here, then we'll be able to Waterfall the Liepard, and that I expect would take it out. And then that makes Xerneas free to set up next turn with the Geomancy, and then take out the Kangaskhan and then the Cresselia. The Cresselia could potentially Trick Room, but I don't think there's enough offensive pressure on this field now for us to worry about that. Obviously the Kangaskhan could switch out as well, and that will neutralise all its attack drops. But if we do get this KO, then we don't need to worry about that. So yeah, perfect Protect from us there, and Waterfall does take out the Liepard. So this Kangaskhan is trapped in now with its low attack, and my opponent forfeits as well. So yeah, really good. That was a bit of a long match actually. Maybe that's what this team is better at doing, is just playing the long game and gradually, you know, weakening the team. So we have a team here. Our last team of the day is another dual primal team, but with some really interesting Pokemon. So we see Houndoom, Articuno, Togetic, and Swampert. So either the Houndoom or the Swampert could be Megas. We could see Swampert and Kyogre out here, you know, with that Swift Swim ability. And I think for that reason I want to lead Rayquaza and, you know, basically that really. And what do I want to lead with it? I feel like a Gyarados lead could work quite well. Arcanine again, I don't think is too necessary here. Let's lead with Scrafty so we can get some fake out pressure going, and we'll have Gyarados and Xerneas in the back. So Kyogre and Swampert, so that's perfect for us. We can fake out the Kyogre, and Swampert might have... We don't know if the Swampert is going to be physical or special. I would assume it's special. I've used Swampert before and it works quite well. So we won't need to go for a Mega Evolution here. Let's just go for I think either or really. Waterfall and Extreme Speed have the same damage. Let's go for an Icy Wind and we can slow them down, because this, yeah, the Rayquaza is slow. And we will fake out the Kyogre. In fact, let's Mega Evolve here in case the Swampert does want to Ice Beam. And we will Icy Wind and fake out Kyogre. Kyogre can quite easily protect here. So Togetic actually comes out, as does Articuno. Okay. That's fine. So actually no Groudon here from my opponent. And the Icy Winds don't do anything either way. Okay. So what we could potentially do is switch in the Gyarados for the Rayquaza to take any potential Ice type attacks. And we can knock off the Eviolite from the Togetic. And that way, well, I'm presuming it's Eviolite anyway, and that way it would just be easy to take out. And I don't mind if Scrafty goes down, because I can't see any physical attackers here. So yeah, protects from the knockoff and substitute from the Articuno. Okay, that's interesting. We should be able to take that out next turn if we go for... Well, actually, we can roar it out. So let's do that. Let's roar it. And we can go for the knockoff again into the Togetic. And I think, well, again, roar is a sound-based move. And I know sound-based moves go through substitute. So that's why I'm going for the roar on the Articuno. So knockoff, yeah, it's an Eviolite. Okay, so this is going to be a sheer cold Articuno here. That's really interesting. So another thing to think about for sheer cold is... Okay, let's go for... So sheer cold, sheer cold and Mind Reader, does it work if you switch something in? So let's go for a... Let's switch in Xerneas. Well, who do I want to take a sheer cold, really? We can quite easily Thunder Wave the Kyogre. And we can send in the... Well, I don't actually know, because sheer cold... Yeah. So, oh no, because it's a one-hit KO, isn't it? Okay, so this is a meme team, essentially. So what we need to do is try and hope that... Yes, that... Because this Articuno, now it's behind a substitute, can pretty much do what it likes. If Raw had increased priority, that would have been better, but obviously the Follow Me prevented that. So let's... We could just let Gyarados go down here and Thunder Wave the Kyogre and slow it down. I feel switching in the Thundurus for the Gyarados, the Gyarados for the Xerneas will work better, and we can at least knock off the Articuno so we can do damage to it, and hopefully do enough damage to break the sub while knocking off its leftovers. So yeah, Kyogre goes first, and that actually does big damage. So yeah, the substitute fades, Sheer Cold misses, perfect. Okay, that's exactly what I needed. So I don't know if this Kyogre is max speed, the Xerneas is obviously quite fast. I could Geomancy here, and we might be able to take a Sheer Cold, sorry, not a Sheer Cold, but an Ice Beam. We could protect, what can... So Scrafty can't really do anything. So I think we maybe have to try for a Geomancy here. And what we'll do is we'll send in the Gyarados for the Scrafty. And then we get Fake Out Pressure. If Xerneas goes down, we have Fake Out Pressure for next turn. It is quite tempting to protect the Xerneas or just go for a straight attack. But I feel the Articuno might be tempted to go for a substitute again. And then at least if we get the Geomancy up and survive, then we put on a lot of pressure next turn. So yeah, Origin Pulse actually misses the Xerneas and the Gyarados, so that's even better. And that's why you don't use it. So what we can do here is go for a Moonblast onto the Articuno. And in fact, we could just protect the Xerneas and go for a Thunder Wave onto Kyogre, I guess. It's not really going to do anything though. In fact, let's go for a Protect, and we'll go for a waterfall onto the Articuno, and that way we can knock it out with a Dazzling Gleam next turn, I would hope. So Origin Pulse again, goes through, hits the Gyarados. So actually it substitutes anyway, so that's fine. So let's Moonblast this Kyogre, and we will Roar the Articuno. So yeah, Kyogre does a good amount, Moonblast does a good amount there, I should say. Yep, and Origin Pulse doesn't do anything that time. So Sheer Cold misses the Articuno, sorry, the Xerneas, that's great. And we can, I feel like we're pretty free to just Dazzling Gleam here. And we can Icy Wind. That's Waterfall, the Swampert. Kyogre might want to protect here, which is fine. Might want to switch something into this attack as well. So yeah, Swampert is Mega. Oh yeah, so of course, Swampert before it's Mega doesn't get the Swift Swim boost, so I need to remember that as well. I think it's just Torrent, isn't it, when it's not Mega? Don't think it has a hidden ability. And finally we have the Articuno and the Togetic. So yeah, probably not the most competitive of teams, but it's always nice just to pick up these wins and build up our rating a little bit more, especially after that first miss as well. First loss, let me say that. So yeah, we finished the day with a win record of 2-1, which is pretty good, especially when we're still getting used to this team and learning it from scratch. So we're currently standing at 22-14, which I don't think is the fully updated win-loss yet, because I think we were 21 and 13 yesterday. So we're 23. I think we're about 23 and 14. Let's see if it updates again. I don't think you guys will be able to see this just yet. Yeah, we're currently 1285 now, so we're pushing towards the 1300s. Hopefully we'll get some more competitive games next time. Yeah, it looks like this team does quite well in the slow game, and I might see if I can get Jamie Boyt to either watch this video and see how I'm getting on, or if he has any advice for me as well. Obviously, being the low ladder at the moment, we're not quite getting the standard teams that you would see at tournament level events, but you know, we'll get there eventually as we start making more videos and getting some more practice here. So that's going to be all for today. We are going to be working with this team for about 2 weeks. Over that time, people might get more used to it and learn about it. Obviously, there won't be as many people using it and maybe not as familiar with it as they would be with something like Wolfie's team. But it looked like quite an interesting team, and it's using the X-Ray core that I was quite interested in using. So yeah, all good from me. Yeah, I'll just finish up by saying, as always, if you have any feedback for me on the video or my play, potential future teams you'd like me to use, do let me know in the comments. It's always greatly appreciated. And if you're not already doing so, give me a subscribe and follow on Twitter. And yeah, I'll be coming out with some more content in the future. But until that time, I'll be off for now, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.